You can always tell when a K9 dog senses something's wrong. It's in the eyes, you know? That look that just slices through your calm, makes every little hair on the back of your neck stand up. That night, under the cold Indiana street lamps, my old partner Diesel, retired, gray around the muzzle but sharp as ever, gave me that look. And let me tell you, I should have known my plans for leftovers and sleep were out the window. Diesel just planted himself at the curb and wouldn't budge, locked in on a roaring garbage truck like it was a ticking time bomb. 10 feet away, ordinary as Tuesday night gets, something in the air felt electric, dangerous, like the whole neighborhood was holding its breath, and I just stood there. Jake Nolan, thinking this was the last call of my shift, that I tugged Diesel's leash, tried to coax him away, but the old dog was wound tight, every muscle on alert, ears forward, not scared but focused. And then, bang, he let loose the kind of bark that shakes you down to your bones. Not play, not warning, but that full-chested, listen to me now bark he only used back in Afghanistan when things were about to go south. You ever heard a sound that slices right through the night? The truck driver, a big guy in a neon vest, jumped down, annoyed. "You all right?" he called out, and I tried to play it off, saying Diesel must be spooked. But the truth is, I was the one who felt spooked. Diesel barked harder, lunging toward the trash bin the truck was about to lift. The driver, impatient, hit the controls anyway. "Wait!" I shouted, hand up, heart pounding. Diesel was frantic, barking at the rear tire, and the next second I heard it. Faint, muffled by trash and distance, but clear as day if you've been trained to hear trouble. A baby's cry. I don't remember moving. 1 second I was beside Diesel. The next I was up on the truck step, flashlight in hand, clawing open the trash bin as the driver rushed over. Cold air hit me, rank with the smell of old rags and blood. And there, curled tight as a comma, was a newborn. Tiny, lips blue, lungs working just enough to whimper. You ever see something that just freezes time? That's what happened. Then training kicked in. I wrapped the baby in my jacket, shouted for EMS, and held on like that kid was mine. Diesel, silent now, sat beside me, tail down, eyes fixed on that baby like he was guarding a bomb. The ambulance screamed up 5 minutes later, longest 5 minutes of my life. The paramedics went to work, and the garbage truck driver just stood there, shaking, saying over and over, "If your dog hadn't," but never finishing the thought. I stayed to help the officers canvass the area, but my mind was stuck on that baby, on how close it had been. 10 seconds from being crushed, gone, forgotten except for the one soul who noticed, and that soul had pause. After the statements, after I'd walked Diesel back to my cruiser, I sat in my kitchen in the dark, listening to the wind rattle the windows. Diesel lay beside me, letting out one long sigh like he was letting go of the night. "You always know, don't you?" I whispered. No answer, but I didn't need one. Diesel never barked for nothing. He just heard what the rest of us missed. The next morning, I couldn't let it go. I walked that block again, Diesel sniffing, circling, never far from my side. It was a nice neighborhood, joggers, kids on bikes, a woman pushing a stroller, but somewhere out there, someone had left a newborn to die. By the Connor house, Diesel paused, nose twitching, and I spotted a torn baby wipe packet on the step, then a blood-stained rag and a note in a plastic bag. "I'm sorry. Please don't hate me." I had no choice. That's when my gut told me this wasn't just some reckless teenager. Something deeper, darker was going on. The station, we ran forensics, reviewed every scrap. My partner, Detective Lana Brooks, said what I wouldn't. "This smells like coercion, maybe abuse." When we pulled the neighbor's security footage, we saw her, a hooded figure, moving like a ghost at 3:12 a.m., dropping a bin at the curb, walking away, not running, but not calm either. The build said teenage girl, the posture said fear. Not a criminal, just scared. The next night, warrant in hand, we searched the Connor property and found more baby items. A blanket, a bottle, a notebook scrawled with "He said he'd hurt the baby if I told." Suddenly, this was about survival, not neglect. That night, I sat in the dark with Diesel curled at my feet, thinking about the girl who believed hiding her baby in the cold was safer than keeping him at home. What kind of world makes a child think that? I asked Diesel. He just thumped his tail once, like he got it that we kept digging, piecing together scraps. Hospital blanket from a county clinic, teenage girl with no ID, a foster father named Charles McKinley who had complaints on file, but nothing ever stuck. Eventually, we found her, hiding behind a trash bin, hoodie pulled up, eyes swollen from crying. Meline couldn't look at me. I just wanted him to live, she whispered. And when I told her the baby was safe, she broke down. He said he'd make me disappear if I told. I promised she was safe now, and we took her into protective custody. Meline was 15, stuck in a foster home 3 blocks from where she'd left her son. She named him Theo, after the nurse who held her hand during delivery. She couldn't keep him, and she knew it, but she needed to see him once, just to know he was alive. That visit, her, shaking, reaching out to touch Theo's hand while I stood watch by the door, was the bravest thing I'd ever seen. She told me, I thought nobody would care, but your dog did. Diesel blinked slow, just soaking it in. Yeah, he cared that McKinley showed up at the hospital, cold as stone, trying to see Meline. We moved her and Theo to a safe house, but the man was like a shadow, always circling. Security footage, burner phones, threats scrawled on walls. He wanted her silent, wanted her gone, but we weren't letting that happen. Every night, I patrolled the shelter, Diesel by my side, Lana running back up. It wasn't about police work anymore. It was about protecting someone good that we caught McKinley after weeks of watching, cornered him in an alley. He tried to blame everyone else, but I'd seen the bruises, read the notes, and I knew the truth. You lost your chance the moment you put a child in danger, I told him. Diesel growled low, and that was the end of it. Meline and Theo finally slept safe that night. Justice didn't erase the past, but it kept the future open. In court, Meline got temporary guardianship of her son, as long as she stayed in counseling and in a safe placement. She wasn't even 16 yet, but she was already the bravest mother I'd ever met. Afterward, we walked out together, me, Meline, Theo, and Diesel, into that crisp air. They came home with me, at least for now. House was quiet, small, but it had space, and most importantly, it had peace that we settled into a rhythm. Meline studied, drew pictures, one of Diesel with Theo at his feet, the word guardian written beneath. I hung it by the door. The town honored Diesel at a ceremony, called him a hero. But to me, he was always more than that. He was the dog who wouldn't let a cry go unheard. Sometimes people ask if I think folks like Meline and Theo can really move on, if second chances are real. I tell them, you don't always get to choose what happens to you, but you can choose what you do next. Meline stayed. She fought. And Diesel, he never stopped listening. Maybe that's all any of us can do to let me ask you. If you'd been there that night, would you have stopped for a single bark in the dark? Or would you have kept walking? I want to hear your thoughts. What does justice look like when the lines get blurry, when desperation meets hope? Share your take in the comments. And if these stories move you, stick around. Because sometimes the real heroes are the ones who never stop listening, even when the world goes quiet.